Where's this part?
Other countries really behaving on taking the criminals that they sent into our country and we're getting them out. These are some of the worst people on earth, and they're getting out and they're being accepted back in their countries, as you've heard, without exception. So a lot of people thought that was not going to happen, but it's happening very full force.
It was obviously going to happen. Of course they're going to do that.
And we're getting some very, very dangerous people out of our country, which is very important.
Yeah.
Will, perhaps we'll go through the first one, please.
Yes, sir. So earlier today, before the press came in, you signed a commission appointing Chris Wright to be your next Secretary of Energy. We have another commission prepared for your signature, sir. This is Doug Collins to be Secretary of the VA. Doug Collins.
Two very good men.
Well, they run out of books? Bro, they got him signing the Constitution.
Next up, in light of numerous actions taken by a number of bodies of the United Nations, which exhibit a deep anti-American bias, we have an executive order prepared for your attention that would withdraw the United States from the UN Human Rights Council, would withdraw the United States from the UNRWA, which is a refugee organization, and would also review American involvement in UNESCO, which has also exhibited anti-American bias. More generally, the executive order calls for a review of American involvement and funding in the UN in light of the wild disparities in levels of funding among different countries that, as you expressed previously, is deeply unfair to the United States.
So I've always felt that the UN has tremendous potential. It's not living up to that potential right now. It really isn't.
It's crazy how long it took for this shit to happen. How long we support people that fucking hate us.
Hasn't for a long time.
I hate this shit.
There are great hopes for it.
Get out, yeah, true.
It's not being well run, to be honest, and they're not doing the job. A lot of these conflicts that we're working on should be settled, or at least we should have some help in settling them. We never seem to get help. That should be the primary purpose of the UN, the United Nations, and again, it's got great potential, and based on the potential, we'll continue to go along with it, but we got to get their act together.
What would they need to do to get their act together?
Well, you got to be fair to countries that deserve fairness. They have some countries, as you know, that are outliers, that are very bad, and they're being almost preferred as countries to those that do their job and are doing a good job, and they have to really, they're going to end up losing a lot of countries. They're going to end up losing.
Somebody says, bro, U.S. sends weapons to a country to fuck people up. At least they could do is send money to the organizations to help the wounded that get fucked with the weapon. This is my viewpoint. Stop sending the weapons. Stop sending the aid. Yep. You're halfway there. No, I agree. Like, yeah, no, that's what I think most people believe.
Losing their credibility like other organizations, and then they're going to be nothing. The potential of the United Nations, and not everybody agrees with me on this, the potential of the United Nations is fantastic, if properly run. So we'll see what happens.
How much money are you going to take away from them?
Well, we're taking away a little bit, but we're not looking to take away money. This is so important that we're really, as you know, the United Nations is largely funded by us. But and
I'm pretty sure we sell a bunch of weapons. Well, I mean, if a country buys a weapon from us, like, that doesn't make any sense. So, like, you're saying that, like, if we sell a bomb or we sell a weapon to another country, now we have to give that country money when they use the weapon? How does that make any sense? Yeah, I don't think so, man. That's crazy. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah, do we have to pay for their funerals too? Exactly. It's ridiculous.
It should be funded by everybody, but we're disproportionate, as we always seem to be. But it's something that if it ever lived up to the potential...
And no, we didn't see this.
In 10 minutes, it would make up the difference. That's the kind of power it could have. Right now, it doesn't have that power.
Correct, sir. This is a national security presidential memorandum that seeks to impose maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Many of these provisions are similar to actions that your administration took during your first administration. The basic idea here is to have
Was Iran the country that recently lowered the age of consent? No, I don't know if it was or not. It was Iraq? Oh, okay, it was Iraq.
Department and agencies, or many departments and agencies in your government attempt to sanction and control Iranian activities, particularly relating to the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian export of terrorism through support of various proxy missions abroad. And the intent here is to give you all of the possible tools to, I'd say, engage with the Iranian government to ensure that going forward they're less of a malign actor on the world stage.
So this is one that I'm torn about. Everybody wants me to sign it. I'll do that. It's very tough on Iran. It's what we had before. We would have never had the problem. You would have never had October 7th. We would have never had the problem had the election gone a different way, which it should have. But this one, I think, more than made up for it. I think we're doing things and it shows that more than made up for it, much more historic. The Iran situation, hopefully, I'm going to sign it, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it very much. We will see whether or not...
A lot of people in Iraq love you, by the way. A lot of things, y'all got to understand, like, it's the same thing as in China. Like, I'm critical of, like, China's government. Like, I know a lot of you guys that live in these countries are like, yeah, like, it's the same as, like, us in the U.S. Like, there's probably people that are mad at, like, people in the U.S. They're like, well, why do you guys keep bombing, like, our country? Like, well, we don't want to bomb you. I didn't vote for that. Fuck that. Like, I don't have anything to do with that. I know that most guys that probably live in these other places that are watching, yeah, the government's not, like, especially in a lot of these places, the government is not the people.
We can arrange or work out a deal with Iran and everybody can live together, and maybe that's possible and maybe it's not possible. So I'm signing this and I'm unhappy to do it, but I really have not so much choice because we have to be strong and firm, and I hope that it's not going to have to be used in any great measure at all. It'd be great if we could have a Middle East and maybe a world at total peace. Right now you don't have that. When I left, you had peace all over the world.
He can't make the Middle East have peace. If he does, that means he's the Antichrist. And so that's actually, yeah, you can't have that happen.
World, and now you have the world is blowing up. As you know, BB is coming in to see me later. Others are coming in to see me. We'll see what we can do. But I'm signing this, and hopefully it will be a document which won't be very important. Will hardly have to be used. Well, we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. With me, it's very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to be tough on Iran. We don't want to be tough on anybody, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, are you going to engage in conversations with your counterpart in Iran?
I would. Well, we have the right to do that, and that's what I did before. And they had no money. They wouldn't have the money for Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. I just...
How's he the Antichrist for that? Oh, there's a number of like indicators that like in the Bible and Revelations that they say the Antichrist is. Obama was a pretty good contender for being Antichrist, by the way. He filled a lot of the quotas, and you know, I could see why people were concerned. He was, and it ended up not happening. He ended up not being the Antichrist, but yeah.
Could have been solved. This thing just... If things went the way they should have, this would have been over long ago.
Yeah.
But it's not over.
How close do you think Iran is to developing nuclear weapons?
I think they're close. I think they're close. They're too close. But again, you could go back 4 years, I would have said they would have had it during this intervening period. But they're pretty close, Peter.
And why is Iran happy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who threaten to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't
That's a big question.
done that, and be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they
So basically, this was an idea in the Cold War. It was called a dead hand, where basically if we bombed Russia or Russia bombed us, there would be an automatic activator that would just let loose all of the nuclear bombs to the other country. Yeah, the dead man switch. So basically Trump gave them instructions if they kill him, what to do.
do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
If the Prime Minister today were to ask your help in striking at Iran's nuclear facilities to prevent the kind of progress towards a nuclear weapon, would you give him the green light? Would you, either to do it himself or for the U.S. to participate with him?
I don't know that that's what he's going to be asking for. I have no idea that it is. You're telling me. We're going to have a pretty long meeting. We're going to be discussing a lot of things, not only that, but a lot of things. And I'll let you know if the time comes to let you know. But right now, that's not.
He's obviously not going to say that.
I can discuss.
Yeah, why would he say that?
You just said when you said if they do it, they get obliterated. Just to be clear, you're talking about if Iran made an attempt on your life.
Yeah. That would be called total obliteration. And I can't imagine they do that. It should have been stated by Biden, but he didn't state it because he had no clue, as you know, as everybody knows.
What is your vision actually for relationship
Do you have
with
anything
Iran?
else?
No, that's all we have.
My vision for
For
what?
a relationship with Iran. And
It was yesterday. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to cover
a
it.
good relationship
I
with
didn't watch
everybody.
it.
They can't have a nuclear weapon. That was my only. That was the only thing that was very important. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Beyond that, it would be very tough if they insist on doing that. They have some of their leadership, I can tell you right now, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but there are many people at the top ranks of Iran that do not want to have a nuclear weapon just for that very reason.
Yeah, I bet. Yep, I fucking bet. And Hitler failed because he didn't have a dead man switch. I think that Hitler failed for a lot of reasons. Yeah, that's not one thing, but either way, I feel like that's kind of not a surprise at all, and not a surprise in any capacity. But it's kind of crazy that he's already making plans in case people try to kill him. Yeah, Hitler didn't have any nukes. Yeah, as far as I know, he didn't. I mean, they might have been close. I assume that they were. That's why we got all their people, right? But still, and yeah. Hitler failed because he got too cocky and pushed too far. I mean, my understanding, I'm not like an expert in this, but like I feel like he probably failed because of the aggression against Russia. Like him trying to attack Russia and then doing it in the winter and then like all their people dying. Like I think that's really what made him lose. Like that was the big one. Yeah, the Russian winter. Like that's a massive one. So, I mean, like, obviously the U.S. played a role, but, like, I mean, they kind of own gold themselves. I mean, that's what, I mean, Napoleon did the same thing, right? I mean, so it's kind of crazy that he would have made that same mistake, but it was just stupid. He got overextended. He failed because he land leased. Yeah, the timing and his ego, maybe, I don't know. But, like, that's just, that's all I remember. But, yeah.
In focus, Trump border czar Tom Homan. Look, Tom, I have so many questions. First of all, if they're shouting and helping these people get away with bullhorns, how is that legal to get help from the people in the streets? I know they can protest, but that's not what they're doing.
You're exactly right. When they come to they cross the line of impediment, and that's why I'm working very close, starting this morning with Department of Justice, and where do they cross that line of impediment? So they may find themselves in a pair of handcuffs very soon.
This is the whole thing.
So working with DOJ on that, get some legal guidance on that. I'm not an attorney. I know what SecOps is about. I know what crossing that line is, but getting DOJ back up on that. So it's something we're looking at right now, Harris.
It's a
We're
short
not going to
video.
tolerate it anymore. This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk. Not only the officers, it puts the aliens at great risk because anything can happen.
Yeah, this is the part that we
take
saw.
our eyes off the goal here. So we're addressing that immediately today. I'm addressing OPSEC today, Operational Security, how these leaks are
Get them out,
happening.
thank you. Well, it's people that are actively trying to make it harder for the police to do their job because they think that the police are bad or something.
We've
That's
already
it.
identified how this operation got leaked. I'll deal with that today.
Interesting.
So, it's all about
Does Dr.
controlling
Phil
the
count?
message.
Yeah.
I try to be transparent. I promise American people
Isn't that illegal? Yeah, it is.
But it's obvious we can't be having all these different news outlets out there with us on various grades. Bill Blue's a great guy, but we got a lot of OPSEC concerns we're dealing with right now. But the leak, who we identified today, we'll deal with that today. But it's not a game. I want to put it out to whether it's Governor Phil Murphy, the rest of the people that want to game this. It's not a joke. This is serious business, and they need to stop, or we won't prosecute them through the Department of Justice.
Look,
Yeah, that's what they need to do. Especially the people that are talking about hiding illegals in their house. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think these people helping illegals care about the law? Yeah, I think they do. I think that they dramatically. I mean, they're protesting because of the law. They do care about the law a lot. They'll care if you arrest them. Yeah, exactly. Like the people like this, that they do it because they think they can get away with it. The moment that you stop letting people get away with this shit is the moment that it stops happening. It's actually that simple. The reason why people do stuff like that is because they can.
I know our audience is paying attention when that agent or officer told our reporter Bill Malusian there have been some intel leaks. Like those are very specific. So I understand what you're saying. You mentioned my state's governor, Phil Murphy. Yeah, he's trying to walk back the comments that he made about possibly, I guess it would be aiding and abetting if you're keeping somebody on your property. But we'll see what happens.
It is aiding and abetting. It absolutely is. Yeah, I totally support going after them. Thoughts on ICE agents going into schools and removing undocumented students? Totally support it. Get them out. I'm not I'm not the kind of person you can emotionally blackmail. Yeah, they shouldn't be here. They should have never been here.
He says that's not what's happening with somebody he thought was on his property or said was. I do want to ask you this because I've heard you say, Tom, that you expect more violence. And you were talking specifically on the border, but why would that be?
Well, look, President Trump is, promises made, promises kept, right? He said he's going to secure the border. The numbers are down significantly. Look, and we talk about between the port of I know
trying to use kids in schools as some moral blackmail is some bullshit. I just think people are fed up in general with the amount of moral blackmail and emotional blackmail that every single one of these conversations devolves into. And I think that's why people respect guys like this. Just literally don't give a fuck about it. Yeah, I'm so tired of it. Yeah, if the kid's not supposed to be here, they shouldn't be here. Get the fuck out. Absolutely. Problem solved.
Port early numbers down about 67%. Actually, between the ports of entry, that takes into account port of entries. Between the ports of entry, we're down closer to 87%. Yeah. As we lock that border down, we're taking money out of the pockets of the criminal cartels, right? They've made record amounts of money in the last 4 years, smuggling aliens, sex trafficking women and children, moving drugs across the border. As we secure that border, their business is going to drop, which means billions of dollars less they make. They're not going to go away quietly. So I truly expect violence to increase on the southern border just because where they are. That's why President Trump has designated them a terrorist organization, because they are. They've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. They're not going to go away quietly. So we're going to expect more violence on the border. But let me get back to what Phil Murphy says. When he goes out and does this, plays this game, if the governor can do it, he sends a message to the whole world, they can do it too. Again, putting our officers at grave risk. It has to stop, or they will.
No, it does. You should do more videos like those kick streamers going after pedos, but you kick migrant children out of public schools. So the reason why I don't make the videos and talk about the kick streamers that try to catch pedos is that a lot of the kick streamers that do that end up breaking laws, and they actually make it easier for those people to get away. and they basically interfere with ongoing investigations, and they invalidate investigations for content. And so, like, I understand what your point is, and you're like, oh, why aren't you focusing on, like, these people and not the other people? But the reason why is that I think that those people, their goal is not to necessarily stop pedos, it's to make content. Like, basically, like, that's, like, the catching these weird people, that's the tail. The content is the dog. Now, you might think that it's the other way around, but it is not. They're looking for content. They're engagement farming. Yeah, exactly. They're exploiting it. And also, I respect the ones that work with law enforcement, and they try to do it the right way. So don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't think that it matters at all, but I think that the majority of them that do this stuff are doing it in a way that ends up actively hurting the cause. Do you think Vitality does it right? Fidelity or whatever it is? I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. I don't want to pass judgment on it.
Be prosecuted. I'm working very close with the Department of Justice to hold people accountable. This stuff ends today.
Well, look, I had Voters' Voices on the program live yesterday and was talking with people about what the first 16, at that point now 17 days of this has been like. Here's what one voter...
Yeah, no, so, and somebody, do you support the predator poachers? They don't really attack them, they just catch them. No, I don't support them in cases where they're not cooperating and working with law enforcement. So I completely support them in cases where they're working with law enforcement. I completely do not support them in cases where they're not working with law enforcement. Because in the cases where they don't work with law enforcement, they end up enabling these predators to keep going because they don't follow the proper protocol for actually putting somebody in jail. It's vigilante justice. Yeah, it's a net negative. And so, like, I'm thinking of the big picture. Like, everybody likes the vindication of, like, we got you, we're going to beat you up. I don't really care about that. Because this guy gets beat up and then he just goes home and does the same thing again. Like, my perspective is, like, how do you solve this problem and make it stop happening? And that's where I focus on. That's what I think about. And so, as long as you're working with law enforcement in a way that's congruent with, like, what their goals are, then I totally support it.
Told us.
Does that make sense?
I go to Chicago and I see the immigration crisis at the forefront in front of my school on the corners. I don't think we should wait until unpopular mayors like Brandon Johnson lose their elections. Their number one goal should be to be understood, and that's using their bully pulpit, that's advocating for the people that pay tax dollars to them. It's always, whose humanity are you looking out for, and why not us that we're paying so many tax dollars?
And that young man, one of the Democrats we had on the panel who voted for Donald Trump this time around. Your reaction?
Look, I think the American people, they President Trump mandates immigration, the border security, immigration enforcement is number one, and we're going to keep President Trump's promise. I looked at the numbers this morning. ICE has already arrested just short of 12,000 people in this country. Vast majority are
needs to be way more than that. They want to get rid of everybody. They got to do way more than that.
Of criminals, public safety threats. And that's what we're trying to do. And for any mayor or governor who doesn't want public safety threats removed from the communities, I find it hard to believe that. But we're going to do it, with or without them. If they're not going to help, get out of the way. But don't cross that line. Do not impede our operations. Do not knowingly conceal or harbor an illegal alien, because we will seek prosecution. We're going to do what the President promised American people. We're going to make our community safer by targeting those who are in the country illegally that have criminal record or public safety threat. That's what we're doing. But if you force us into the community and not let us get the bad guy into jail, that's going to put the community at risk. It means
that's AOE damage.
More collateral arrest means more non-criminals being arrested, because when we find the bad guy, which we will, there's going to be others with them. Others that may not be a criminal priority, but we're not going to instruct ICE to walk away from like the Biden administration did. We're going to enforce immigration law.
I tell you, Tom Homan, you have those gang members.
It seems hard to understand why people would obstruct activities that would make streets safer. No, it's not. It's actually really easy to understand. The reason why they do it is because they are stupid and they are ideologically captured by something that doesn't make sense. That's one.
And illegals on the run with reports of people trying to move around the country now to get away from operations that they
Yeah, it's
know
really
are
not that
coming, and
complicated.
maybe tipping each other off. We'll see. We'll cover the stem to stern, especially as you find out what happened with those intel leaks. Thank you.
Harris, we will not be happy to every single TDA member. TDA is going to be eradicated from this country. I will not rest until every one of them are in prison or at Gitmo. That's a promise I'm making to the American people.
Tom Homan, the borders are
Damn.
for President Trump on it. Thank you very much.
Damn. Well, there it is. And yeah, one of the heads seems to have a mortal wound. Well, I don't know. Oh, this is the fucking Antichrist stuff? Nah, guys, come on, calm down on that. And so they fantasize about combating a non-existent fascist regime. I think that there's a lot of people, and this is the same reason why, like, a lot of these, like, one of the things that I notice with a lot of the, what do you call it? A lot of the protesters for a lot of these, like, really kind of, like, weird luxury causes is that they're upper middle class, affluent, often white people. And I think that these are people that live a life of, like, absolute and complete, like, privilege. And I think they realize that, and they know that about themselves. And they're looking for a way that they can make themselves, like I think that they have a guilt for it. And so they're looking for a way that they can make themselves victims.
To you
Here
on
we go.
stage. And here's the picture. I wish I was as handsome as him, but I'm not.
Okay. Great. Make anime great again?
Ah.
I guess so.
Remember that day. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru to the White House for the first time. Prime Minister, it's an honor to have you with us, a great honor. Japan is a great country. Thank you very much. Japan is strong and proud. It's a nation that is home to one of the great civilizations in the history of the world. For nearly 80 years, the American-Japanese people have enjoyed a friendship like few others. We've had a great friendship across the vast ocean and found ourselves culture, mutual admiration, and great respect.
I think that's better.
After our meeting today, I'm confident that the cherished alliances between our two countries and others also will continue to flourish long and into the future. The military cooperation between the United States and Japan is one of our closest security partnerships, and it's one of the closest we have anywhere in the world. Our service members work together every day to defend our common interests. Japan is committed to double its defense spending by 2027 compared to my first term. They've invested a lot of money. Because of my first term, we worked on that very hard with Shinzo. You know, the great Shinzo Abe. And we look forward to seeing even more so.
They were good friends, right?
Very, very long and hard, and those numbers are very reflective after.
You mentioned them? Yeah, he did.
Term.
Already did.
And now they're going up very substantially based on our conversations today. In addition to being vital for our shared security, Japan is one of the top purchasers of U.S. military exports and equipment.
That's a lot.
And I'm pleased to say that this week my administration approved nearly $1 billion in foreign military sales to Tokyo. The United States is totally committed to the security of Japan. We will extend the full strength of American deterrence capabilities and defense of our friend and ally, 100%. In the years to come, the Prime Minister and I will be working.
It's kind of weird to think that we had a world war against Japan.
And security, and I also say
and now
peace
we're good,
through strength.
you know?
And all over the Indo-Pacific, and to that end, we also remain committed to the effort that began in my first term to ensure safety and stability on the Korean Peninsula. Prime Minister Ishiba and I spoke long and hard about a vital economic relationship between our two countries and the continuance of that relationship. The United States and Japan trade over $300 billion in goods and services each year. Japan has invested nearly $800 billion, and that's going to go up very,
Jesus
very
Christ.
substantially in the coming months, more than any other country.
I don't know how much they have money.
They're going to have some competition. We have a lot of people coming in and investing in the United States. I think the feeling throughout the world has never been stronger about this country. As a result of our victory in 2024, the presidential election, the Japanese investment and technology giant SoftBank announced plans to invest between 100 and 200 billion dollars, and we have many other companies investing that number, higher than that number, some a little bit less, but we have trillions of dollars of investment pouring into our country now that you didn't have just a short while ago. Today, our teams discussed how our two nations can do even more to stay on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, along with the quantum computing, semiconductors, and other critical technologies. And they're coming out. The problem with technology that kind, it's obsolete in about 2 days, so we have to start all over again. Doesn't last long. We agreed to cooperate even more closely to combat the Chinese economic aggression, which is quite aggressive. I'm also pleased to announce that Japan will soon begin importing historic new shipments of clean American liquefied natural gas in record numbers. It'll be record numbers. With our Secretary of the Interior, we were talking, I think Doug is here. Hello, Doug. Please stand up, Doug.
Oh,
Doug
jeez.
Burgum, everybody. We're talking about the pipeline in Alaska, which is the closest
Liquid
point
gold,
of major oil and gas to Japan by far. Less than half the distance of any other location. We're talking about a joint venture of some type between Japan and us, having to do with Alaska oil and gas, and that's very exciting. They're very excited about it, so are we. As we deepen our economic relationship, I made clear that the United States will be conducting trade with all countries based on the principle of fairness and reciprocity. Chronic trade deficits
That's the word
not
I always
only
pronounce wrong.
undermine our economy, they really do, and we're going to get rid of the trade. We have a trade deficit with Japan of over $100 billion, but we're going to work that out, and I think very quickly, frankly. We can do it just on oil and gas. We can work it out, so we intend to do it very quickly. We both understand that. And as America welcomes new foreign investment, we also want to ensure that companies build their products and factories here in America, not simply buy the assets that we have. And Japan is going to be opening up auto plants. New auto plants are being built currently as we speak. They've just been started. Toyota's one, and Nissan's going to be doing something very exciting about U.S. Steel. They'll be looking at an investment rather than a purchase. We didn't like the idea. U.S. Steel is a very important company to us. It was the greatest company in the world for 15 years, many years ago, 80 years ago. And we didn't want to see that leave. And it wouldn't actually leave, but the concept, psychologically not good. So they've agreed to invest heavily in U.S. Steel as opposed to own it.
Oh boy.
And that sounds very exciting, and we're going to meet with Nissan
Ini setiap
next
tiga
week. The head
benawar
of Nissan,
My
very
first
great
car was a
company, and,
Nissan
Grifana.
Altima.
they'll work out the details. I'll help. I'll be there to
Japan,
mediate
China,
and
number one.
arbitrate.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of working closely with the great Prime Minister, as you know, and you know him very well, Shinzo Abe, the longest-serving Prime Minister in Japan's history.
Two name
Likewise,
drops.
I expect that this Prime Minister is going to be a great one. I really believe that he's going to be a great one. I've gotten to know him for not long, but I can see what they have. He's got the qualities of greatness. He's going to do a fantastic job for Japan and for the Japanese people. And I'd like now to invite the Prime Minister to say a few words, and then we'll take some questions.
Oh,
Mr.
boy.
Prime Minister, thank
Here
you.
we go.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President Trump,
You say
I
A
would
Trump?
like to sincerely thank you for inviting me to the White House today, immediately following your inauguration. I also thank you for your very warm hospitality. I have come to Washington, D.C. with the hope of having a face-to-face meeting and deepening our mutual understanding at this early date with President Trump, who is now
Man.
leading the United States. the most important country for Japan's diplomacy and security, and aligning our perspectives and visions that Japan and the United States should pursue.
Okay.
What should we do to advance the national interests of both of our countries in synergy and to realize peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific?
Aim to get together and like
I am
cancel
convinced that the
Assassin's Creed
answer
Shadows.
lies in further strengthening the strong and unwavering Japan-US alliance to achieve a free and open Indo-Pacific. President
Sounds
and
like a woman.
I concurred to strengthen the deterrence and response capabilities of the alliance and to work closely in addressing strategic challenges that both countries are facing in this region. I conveyed to the President that Japan, as an ally of the United States, is ready to share responsibilities and to play its own role. I also reiterated Japan's unwavering commitment to fundamentally reinforcing its defense capabilities, and we confirmed the unwavering commitment by the United States to the defense of Japan. We reaffirmed that Article 5 of the Japan-US Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security applies to the Senkaku Islands, with half of the world's population and approximately 60% of the world's GDP. The Indo-Pacific serves as the engine of growth and vitality for Japan, the United States, and the world. President and I also concurred that the United States and Japan will make further efforts in a wide range of areas, working hand in hand together to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific. In this context,
So we're going to be working with
we also
Japan a lot more.
concurred to further advance cooperation of the multi-layered networks of the like-minded countries, including the Quad and trilateral cooperation with the Republic of Korea.
More
and
anime,
Philippines.
True,
We
guys.
also discussed Japan,
Exactly.
United States cooperation to bring about growth and prosperity. Economic cooperation, including on economic security, is important from the perspective of strengthening alliance cooperation. Japan is the closest economic partner of the United States and has been the world's largest investor in the United States for 5 consecutive years.
Wow.
Also, with the inauguration of President Trump, the
I didn't even know
momentum for
that.
Japanese companies to invest in the United States is growing even stronger. Today, I conveyed my willingness to cooperate together to elevate Japan's investment in the United States to an unprecedented amount of $1 trillion. President Trump and myself also concurred to elevate the Japan-US partnership to an even higher level through improving business environment and increasing bilateral investment
Japan's
and
the 51st
employment,
state?
strengthening each other's industries, leading the world in developing advanced technologies such as AI and leading-edge semiconductors, and strongly promoting efforts to harness the energy of the growing market in the Indo-Pacific region.
Japan, the first
We
state,
also confirmed that we will cooperate to strengthen energy security between the two countries, including increasing exports of United States liquefied natural gas to Japan in a mutually beneficial manner. Regarding foreign exchange, as in the first Trump administration, close discussions will continue between Japanese and the U.S. finance ministers who are experts in this field.
We also held candid discussions on challenges the Indo-Pacific region is facing. We confirmed that we are resolved not to allow unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion, and to oppose such attempts in the East and South China Seas in order to fully defend a free and open Indo-Pacific.
People wanted them to make anime real. This is closer, right?
We also reiterated the importance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Regarding North Korea, we affirmed the need to address its nuclear and missile program, which poses a serious threat
Well, that's
to
the
Japan,
bad Korea.
the U.S., and
Yeah,
beyond.
not the good Korea, the
And
bad
that
one.
Japan and the U.S. will work together toward the complete denuclearization of North Korea.
That's right.
As the abductees and their families continue to age, I conveyed my strong sense of urgency and determination directly to President Trump and gained his renewed strong support for the immediate resolution of the abductions issue.
Damn.
While this was my first face-to-face meeting with President Trump, we were able to openly and frankly exchange views, and our meeting turned out to be very productive and meaningful.
So we're getting $1 trillion from Japan? Is that what they're
As
saying?
a result of today's meeting, which marked a new departure for the Japan-U.S. relations, we are issuing a Japan-U.S. joint leader statement.
Wow.
This document will serve as a compass for further cooperation between our two countries. On the basis of these deliverables, I look forward to working together with President Trump, who I respect immensely, to usher in a new golden age of Japan-U.S. relations.
Oh, man.
I look forward to welcoming you to Japan.
You just heard the translator.
And I am very excited about that prospect.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Man.
Any questions, please? Peter?
President Trump, I have two on Doge. Elon Musk said today, I love Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. What does the First Lady think about that?
Oh, I think she'll be okay with it somehow.
Oh, God.
Are really upset. Doge engineers have access to these treasury payments.
Yeah. What is the question? It's the joke.
Are used to disperse trillions of dollars each year to contain everyday Americans' personal
これはアメリカの国民が懸念することだと思うんですけど。
bank accounts. Why does Doge need all of that?
Well, it doesn't, but they get it very easily. I mean, we don't have very good security in our country, and they get it very easily. And what we're doing, if you look at what has just taken place with respect to some of the investments that have been made on another agency that people have been talking about for years, but nobody did anything about it. It's absolutely obscene, dangerous, bad, very costly. I mean, virtually every investment made is a con job. There's nothing of value to anybody unless there's a kickback scheme going on, which is possible. And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars.
Because Trump's a scammer, right?
Wasted, and perhaps
so he should know this.
Illegally, I would say, certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. And I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it. But we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption. And we found tremendous corruption.
I was funded by USAID. Was I? I didn't know that.
Lawmakers trying to get into the Department of Education earlier today.
I see the same ones. I see Maxine Waters, a lowlife. I see, all these people. They don't love our country. They don't love our country. We want great education. They rank 40 countries in education. We're ranked dead last. But the good news is we're number one in one category. You know what that is? Cost per pupil. We spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. You look at Norway, Denmark, Sweden, various countries all up and down, Finland. China does very well in education. And then you look at us. We spend much more money than they do per pupil or any other way. But we spend much more money than they do, and yet we're ranked this year. Biden's last year, congratulations, Joe. We're ranked dead last. So what I want to see is education. Number one, I like choice. We all like choice.
Yeah,
but
that's pretty much exactly what he
beyond
thinks.
Choice, I want to see it go back to the states where great states that do so well have no debt. They're operated brilliantly. They'll be as good as Norway or Denmark or Sweden or any of the other highly ranked countries. They'll be You probably have 30, I figure 35 to 38 states will be right at the top. And the rest will come along. They'll have to come along competitively. And by the way, we'll be spending a lot less money. And we'll have great education.
As part of this Doge cost-cutting effort, one of the Doge engineers was fired for some inappropriate posts. The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, go ahead, please.
He doesn't give a fuck. Oh, God.
How strong do you
say
want
that? Yeah.
Japan's military to be? And do you specifically hope that their increased military spending will deter China and North Korea? What did you talk about that today?
Well, I
There
want
was
our
a guy
military
named
to
Big
be the
Balls
strongest.
that
I
said a bunch of
also,
racist shit.
Don't mind spending so much
So
money.
they're going to
on
bring them
military
back.
because we build it here. It's made in the USA, all made in the USA.
I'm not even kidding.
Oh, you know, I rebuilt our military during my first term. Did a great job. We left some of it behind in Afghanistan, stupidly. There was no reason for that, but it was still as much as it was. It was billions and billions of dollars, but it was a small part of it. But we're going to have the strongest military by far. We have great people. I want to congratulate Pete Hegseth for having gone through the gauntlet. He went through a lot, but he got through, and he's going to be a tremendous, I have no doubt he's going to be a tremendous leader. And other of the leaders sitting here, they're in their own fields. We're going to do something very, very, very great, and we expect great things. But I expect the strongest military by far in the world, far stronger than China, far stronger than anybody, and that's the way it is. Thank you very much. Would you like to ask a question, please?
No,
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This is Hiramoto from Nippon Television. My question, let me ask two quick questions.
Sure.
First, this is the first meeting between Mr. President and Prime Minister Ishiba. So what kind of impression do you have on him? And number two, do you have an idea or do you have a plan to impose tariff against Japan so far?
Oh, good question.
I think that he is going to be a great prime minister. I think he's a very strong man, very, very strong. I have great respect for him. I've known him for a long time through a reputation. Shinzo Abe thought the world of him, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job as prime minister. A very strong person. I wish he wasn't so strong. I wish he was a little bit weaker than that, but that's what I got. I have to get strong guys all the time. He's going to be a great prime minister. I also, in terms of tariffs, I mean, we're going to have tariffs, mostly reciprocal tariffs, where we go with, and I'm going to be probably meeting on that Monday or Tuesday, have an announcement, probably a news conference, but probably reciprocal tariffs where a country pays so much or charges us so much, and we do the same. So very reciprocal, because I think that's the only fair way to do it. That way, nobody's hurt. They charge us, we charge them. It's the same thing, and I seem to be going in that line as opposed to a flat fee tariff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, go, please. Please, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead?
This is Ota from Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper. I have a question for Prime Minister Ishiba. So this is your very first summit meeting. What was your impression of President Trump? Were you able to build a good relationship of trust and confidence? In Northeast Asia, there are many challenges. China, North Korea, and so forth.
The reverse,
and with President Trump, what did you appeal to him, and what kind of understanding were you able to obtain? On the economic field, there is the acquisition of US Steel, the buy Nippon Steel, and there are expansion of import of energy. What were the communication discussion did you have with President
just like
Trump?
that.
For the $1 trillion of investment from Japan to investment, what was his reaction? What about your communication on tariff front? This is the first time that I met with President Trump in person. So this was the first time meeting face to face. But for many, many years, I have watched him on television.
Yeah.
So it was quite.
I bet.
I was so excited to see such a celebrity on television, to see in person. On television, he is frightening, and he has the very strong personality. But when I met with him, actually, he was very sincere.
Oh, God.
And very powerful, and with strong will for the United States and for the whole world. I was able to feel that. This is not the sort of polishing or trying to suck up to him. For the world peace,
he
and
says
for
it's
the
not
regional
glazing.
stability, that both of our countries need to play our role and make our endeavors and responsibility. As for the increase of our defense expenditures, it is not that we are told by the United States to do so. Japan, on our own decision, and on our own responsibility, we need to increase our defense expenditures. But of course, we need to communicate and consult with the United States. But the responsibility is with Japan, and the decision is with Japan. Now, on the tariffs, that if it is mutually beneficial, tariffs need to be set. And as for Japan, as Mr. President has introduced to us, an unprecedented investment will be made from Japan to the United States.
Damn.
And so many jobs will be created. So $1 trillion is the target. And this will be to the benefit of the United States, but also to the benefit of Japan as well. Investment is mutually beneficial. So be it with U.S. Steel, as Mr. President says, it is not acquisition, it is investment. So the Japanese technology will be provided, and the better quality products will be manufactured in the United States, and the U.S. Steel will make products which will contribute not only to the United States and Japan, but also to the whole world. It is not one-sided. It will be reciprocal. It will be mutually beneficial. And I believe we were able to share on this, and that is the biggest result that I have seen today.
Okay, great.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, $1 trillion. That's fucking insane. Holy shit.
I wanted to ask you about that U.S. Steel deal. So you're saying that is this a restructuring of the deal that's happening, and then will you approve?
They're doing it as an investment, no longer a purchase.
Okay.
I didn't want it purchased, but investment I love. And they're going to do a big investment, subject to getting the deal done.
Boys.
And that's
they'll be doing
Hey.
I'm okay with that, sure.
Prime Minister, what was your argument to the President related to U.S. Steel? And one more on tariffs, Mr. President, if I could. You said on tariffs that you'd like them to be reciprocal back and forth. What was the reception from the Japanese Prime Minister when you said that, or when you talked
Well,
about
we didn't
Bringing
discuss
back
tariffs
Gundams.
too much. We really discussed many other things, including the pipeline in Alaska, which I think is going to be maybe the most exciting thing with Doug and Chris. We discussed that at length, the pipeline. I mean, it seemed to be of great interest to them. It's we have potentially more oil and gas than in Saudi Arabia, just in Alaska. We have the most of any country in the world. It's a big asset for the United States, but we haven't used it. We go to Venezuela, we go to other places to take oil and gas, and we have more than anybody. It's an amazing phenomenon that took place over the last 4 years. Nobody understands it, including the people that were in charge of it. They had no clue what they were doing. So it was a big problem. They were surprised actually too. They were saying,
Was the government that stupid?
Why didn't they wouldn't sell?
I mean,
them
that's kind of crazy to
LNG.
even imagine.
They wouldn't sell it. Japan wanted to buy LNG.
Was it that
and
bad?
Biden wouldn't sell it. And I'm trying to figure that one out.
There's no
Maybe
way,
it was the
right?
environment. You might answer that question. He's just curious about that himself, I think.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very
They're
much.
playing a long con?
If you want to answer that, you may, about LNG, that the United States wouldn't sell you LNG.
The truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, I just can't imagine that they were all that fucking stupid. It's kind of scary.
Really unfortunate thing, but the current administration, I'm sorry, the previous administration was not allowing the LNG to be exported to us. I believe that President Trump, on the day of his inauguration, allowed us to resume this importing. I think this is something that is really wonderful for us. And as the country of Japan, we are interested in importing not just LNG, but also bioethanol, ammonia, and other resources at a stable price, a reasonable price from the United States. And we also want to improve the trade deficit that the U.S. has towards Japan. So if we are able to buy those at a stable and reasonable price, I think it would be a wonderful situation. And for that, I am very appreciative to President Trump. And we also look forward to LNG and hope that it's a success.
I wanted to just say that on the ethanol, Iowa is going to be very happy. All of the Nebraska, all of our farm states are going to be very happy. They want ethanol, and we'll be able to provide it. So our farmers, who I like and they like me, I think they're going to be very, very happy. We've opened the sale of LNG immediately. Actually, we did it a few days ago. And China, right now, not only China, everybody wants to buy it. We have more than anybody, and they're all buying it. But Japan in particular, we're very happy that they're going to start immediately. And we can supply it to the world, but we're supplying it to Japan, and they can always be right up in the front of the line. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Mr. Prime Minister, I have a question for you as well, but Mr. President, I'll start with you. Well, quickly to follow up on what Peter was asking, have you directed Elon Musk to review discretionary spending?
Yes, I got Pentagon, education, just about everything. Just as it was so bad with what we just went through, this horrible situation we just went through, and I guess 97%
it's going to be epic.
Have been dismissed. It was very, very unfortunate. Anything like that, but you're going to find a lot, and I've instructed
I bet the military is fucking corrupt as shit.
To check out the Pentagon, which is the military, and sadly you'll find some things that are pretty bad, but I don't think proportionally you're going to see anything like we just saw.
FBI has turned over a list to the Justice Department of the FBI agents who worked on the January 6 rioters cases. Are you planning to fire the FBI agents who worked on those investigations?
No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. I got to know a lot about that business, that world.
All right.
I got to know a lot about that world, and we had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically. Did you have a question for the Prime Minister? Talk up.
They can't stop talking about January 6th,
I don't know. I know we have some that are very corrupt and we don't like it. We're going to bring back the reputation.
They keep bringing this shit up over and over.
Kash Patel is going to do a great job. And we're going to bring back the reputation of the FBI, which has been hurt very badly. It's been devastated over the last 4 years.
You've just been meeting for the first time with President Trump. The last administration famously did not have hardly any, if at all, contact with North Korea. President Trump certainly did the last time he was in office. Would you like to see him resume that contact and also that in-person meeting that he had with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un?
That's a great question. That was crazy that shit happened, too.
That is something that the United States needs to determine on its own, and it's not something that we should request. Having said that, but...
Yeah, that's probably true.
For example, in Vietnam or Singapore, the President of the United States, President Trump, was able to meet with Kim Jong-un. I think that's a very positive development.
Oh, wow.
So, now that President Trump is in power again, if we are able to move towards resolving issues with the North Korea, I think it would be great. And of course, for us, that includes not only denuclearization, but also resolving the abductee issue. And so not only the victims of the abductees, but also their families too are aging, and so our time is limited. So if the President of the United States, if President Trump is able to resolve this issue, we do understand that it's a Japan issue first and foremost. Having said that, we would love to continue to cooperate with them.
It's actually a good question, and we will have relations with North Korea and with Kim Jong-un. I got along with him very well, as you know. I think I stopped the war. I think if I wouldn't have won that particular election, it would have ended up in a very bad situation.
Oh, okay.
And we had a good relationship, and I think it's a very big asset for everybody that I do get along with him. I get along with him, he gets along with me, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I can tell you that Japan likes the idea because their relationship is not very good with him. And if I can have a relationship with not only him, but other people throughout the world where there seem to be difficulties, I think that's a tremendous asset for the world, not just the United States. Go ahead.
I have a question for you and for the
I always
Prime
thought it was
Minister as well.
crazy how he actually met with Kim
I wonder what you
Jong-un.
make of the criticism from Democrats that these staff reductions, the cuts that Elon Musk and Doge are doing are an unlawful power grab. Is there anything you told Elon Musk cannot touch?
Oh boy.
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there.
Jesus.
Group of people. Very, very capable. They know what.
They're so mad. Yeah.
They'll ask questions and they'll see immediately as somebody gets tongue-tied that they're either crooked or don't know what they're doing. We have very smart people going in, so I've instructed him go into education, go into military, go into other things as we go along. And they're finding massive amounts of fraud, abuse, waste, all of these things. So, but I will pick out a target and I say go in. There could be areas that we won't, but I think everything's fertile. You know, we're a government. We have to be open. And as an open government, I don't know, I guess you could say maybe some high intelligence or something. And I'll do that myself if I have to. But generally speaking, I'll just say, no, but he will be looking at education pretty quickly, and he will be looking at military too.
So Elon's just going to go over everything.
Federal spending is Social Security, Medicare, programs like that. Would you like to see him look at those programs as well?
Well, they don't really have to be looked at by him. They can be looked at by us. Social Security will not be touched. It'll only be strengthened. We have illegal immigrants on Social Security, and we're going to find out who they are and take them out. We have illegal immigrants in other Medicare. We found a lot of bad people, that shouldn't be on, that were put on through California. A lot of them come out of California. We're not going to stand for that. So we're going to strengthen our Social Security, etc. We're not going to touch it other than to make it stronger. But we have people that shouldn't be on, and those people we have to weed out. Most of them, or many of them so far, have been illegal immigrants. They shouldn't even be in the country. Do you have a question for the Prime Minister?
I do. Mr. Prime Minister, the President's affinity for tariffs is well known.
Oh, God.
If the U.S. places tariffs on Japanese imports, would Japan retaliate?
Dude. These guys are worse than Twitch chat hoppers.
I am unable to respond to a theoretical question. That's the official answer that we have.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer. Wow. That's very good. He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And that was President Donald Trump meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba. They were hosting this joint.
That was a good one. Yeah, it was.
Taking questions.
You said it's a dumb question.
Media, and this covered a range of topics. I do want to show you a live look out of Washington D.C. right now as we recap a lot of detail here of what was discussed. Again, this was the first face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Japanese Prime Minister
samurai
Ishiba.
answer.
They discussed a range of topics, one of them being North Korea. We did hear from the Prime Minister through a translator. He said that their goal is to address their nuclear and missile program.
Man,
and they say they
that's fucking funny.
Trump and Ashiba say
Asians
it is a
don't have
threat
time
to
for that
Japan
Reddit
and
shit?
the U.S.
I guess
They're
so.
working towards
Понятно. Да, интересная реакция чела. Если это задник какой-нибудь.
Я не готова применить это заклинание. Не могу достать. Надо подождать. Нужно больше маны.
А во, блядь, ёбаный рарник. Классно. Ой, не рарник, а Soulseeker хп. Ну вот Соло стоит здесь.
Я пока не могу произнести это заклинание.
Соло. Ваншотнет меня нахуй.
Я не готова применить это заклинание. Надо подождать. Я пока не могу произнести это заклинание.
Раньше еще.
Я не готова применить это заклинание.
Ay. Terus kumat.
This is the video where he talks about all this shit. So we're gonna get into it. Damn.
A very busy weekend. We got the 6 hostages out of Venezuela, as you probably know, and they're very safe right now. They're home with their families.
Well, that's
and
good.
We appreciate the hard work of a lot of people.
I didn't even know that was happening.
We appreciate the cooperation from Venezuela, and we have some very happy people right now. Nobody thought that was going to happen. So they are home, they're safe, and they're with their families. That was a big one. Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now, and
Little Marco.
We're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement.
Apparently, they came back to the table too, by the way. Huge win with the Panama Canal. Officials announced that it will not be renewing its memorandum of understanding with China. There it is.
Is running the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
That was not given
it's
to
$3
China.
million
That
per
was
ship.
Given to Panama foolishly,
I could see that adding up.
But they violated the agreement, and
yeah, I could definitely see that adding up.
Something very powerful is going to happen. And as far as other things are concerned, as you know, we had a very busy weekend. We're dealing with Israel. We're dealing with Ukraine and Russia. We have meetings and talks scheduled with various parties, including Ukraine and Russia. And I think those discussions are actually going pretty well. The discussions on the Middle East with Israel and various and sundry other countries are progressing. Bibi Netanyahu's coming on Tuesday. And I think we have some very big meetings scheduled.
President, do you feel that Elon Musk is delivering on his promises to you? Do you feel he's doing a good job right now with
I do. I think Elon's doing a good job. He's a big cost cutter. Sometimes we won't agree with it and we'll not go where he wants to go. But
so there was a guy. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And apparently somebody was on the government payroll. Let me see if I can show you guys this. So let me see. It might take me a minute to find this, but I'll see if I can get it. And where the fuck is it? Where the fuck did it go? Oh my God, where is it? He's making so many posts, it's hard to keep up with it. Well, anyway, there was some guy causing trouble that was getting money from the government, and then Elon found out about it, and he said not anymore. So basically, they're just cutting off funding for a lot of these random fucking clowns, which is, like, in my opinion, thank God. You know, wasting this fucking money, giving people that are morons money. Thank God. Yeah, just like Argentina. Yeah, I have no idea about that. I don't know. Let me see. I wish I could find this. Yeah, legacy media panicking because they underestimated Doge. Yeah, like he's getting a lot of this money out. And in my opinion, I think thank fucking God. I bet there's been so much. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can find it. Yep. So apparently, let's see if I can find, where is it? It's this guy right here. So basically, this guy says the deep state is far more preferable to the Trump state. And then apparently this guy got exposed for getting money from the government. And then Elon Musk said that, you know, this is probably not going to happen for very long. And that's it. That's it. Yeah, it's kind of AI already. Bill's part of the deep state. Yeah, get rid of him. Get him the fuck out.
I think he's doing a great job. He's a smart guy, very smart. And he's very much into cutting the budget of our federal government.
We fixed the glitch, yeah.
Retaliatory tariffs from Canada.
Say it?
You saw some retaliatory tariffs from Canada. There was a rider in the order. Are you planning to increase the tariffs against Canada?
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in.
Damn.
Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada. And something's going to happen there. But
something's going to happen. I wonder, there's no way we're going to try to make them a state, right? Like, there's no...
Like, play the game. I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them. And this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent.
So he's just saying it.
Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that. And by the way, we have among the lowest numbers we've ever had of people crossing our border, the lowest numbers since my administration.
Mr. President, you said, so on Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa.
Yeah.
The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And on the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he held rates. What's your reaction to him not?
They're killing whites? I don't know if they are or not. That's what a lot of people say, though. A lot of people say that.
He held the rates. He didn't cut them.
No, I'm not surprised. I think holding the rates at this point was the right thing to do.
They are. I mean, this is the way I look at it. I mean, do I want to pay for that fucking shit? No, man. Let them fucking rot. Like, that's not my problem. What happens in Africa? You think I give a fuck what happens in Africa? The fuck out of here.
Which country will be next on Paris? Would you consider taxing the UK, for example?
Какой теперь метод, что просто мой вопрос стоит.
But we're gonna we'll see how things work out. It might happen with them, but
it's not our problem.
It will definitely happen with the European Union. I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of it. And you know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure that one, I think that one can be worked out.
You mean South Africa? Saying no, I do. I do. Keep in mind, I do mean South Africa, not all Africa. Like Kenya, we don't need to bring Kenya into this. Kenya didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, it's just South Africa. No, you're right. You're right.
Well, Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. And we'll see whether
we had a president from Kenya.
With the European Union, it's $350 billion deficit. So obviously something's going to take place there.
For the European Union, what's the timeline? And are you thinking along the line 25%?
Yeah. With who? With who?
EU, how much?
I wouldn't say there's a timeline, but it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
No, I'm not concerned. We may have short-term some little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Tariffs probably gonna make shit more expensive in the short term for sure. Definitely. I mean, I could easily see that happening, and it sucks, right? But it's like, is it better to do that or not? I mean, I don't know. And the long term, who knows?
With deficits with almost every country, not every
the long
country,
term remains to be seen. The short term is pretty much definitive.
Almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair. That's why we owe $36 trillion. We have deficits with everybody. We help everybody. We've been helping everybody for years. And to be honest, I don't think they appreciate it. So we're going to change that. We're going to change it fast. We're going to make America great again. We have to focus on our country. We have tremendous potential if properly used, and we have to focus on our country.
We got to bring back nuclear power. That's what we got to do. We got to bring back a lot of nuclear power.
Tremendous deficits with China, tremendous deficits with the European Union, tremendous deficits with Mexico and Canada. And
we make
why?
nuclear war?
What's the purpose of that? Why would we have deficits?
Nah.
And you look at...
I don't want to do that.
If you look at pharmaceuticals and drugs, if you look at various products, it's much cheaper in other countries. We're not going to allow that much longer.
Забыл, что именно значит Amendo.
Next time that we have a hurricane, we'll use a nuke on it.
And we're getting them out. U.S. Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
Fuck them.
Yeah. I've spoken with people from Canada, I've spoken with people from Mexico, and I've spoken to a lot of other people too. I'm speaking with Prime Minister Trudeau tomorrow morning, and I'm also speaking with Mexico tomorrow morning. And I don't expect anything very dramatic. We put tariffs on. They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay.
Would you send troops to take the Canal of Panama?
About what?
The Canal of Panama. Would you send US troops?
I don't think troops will be necessary in Panama. What Panama has done is terrible financial security for this part of the world. And, 70% of the signage on the Panama Canal was written in Chinese.
Mexico's already caving? Oh, yeah,
right?
they did.
So it wasn't meant for China.
Yeah, they roached out, man.
It should have never been made. The deal was a ridiculous